Wouldn't some hot buttered popcorn hit the spot right now? Extra fluffy, extra big kernels of it popped to perfection, then drenched with the golden goodness of pure sweet creamery butter. Can't you just taste it? We heat the container extra high, but you better buy 2 more for the rest of the family. Piping hot, golden buttered popcorn at the refreshment center right now.
Hollywood Hotel. Good evening. Just a moment, I'll connect you.
Hello, divers. Coming to you from Studio D, the Deep Dive Podcast proudly presents Hollywood Hype, a series that looks at the gimmicks, tie-ins, and publicity stunts that lured unsuspecting patrons into movie theaters. I'm Tom Feeney, 2-time Emmy Award-winning producer and writer for Wang's Chop Movie Magazine. So what's salty, crunchy, buttery, and delicious? No, you weirdo. I'm talking about popcorn. Now, how did this ancient snack food become synonymous with a night at the movies? Well, go microwave yourself a bowl of those yummy popped kernels of goodness and make yourself comfortable. It's popcorn time.
Well, I met her at the movies, and I sat her in my lap, and now I'm so in love with her, I feel just like a sap. Popcorn, she's my favorite movie star. Popcorn, she's my favorite snack by far. I like her best unbuttered with just a dash of salt, cause she doesn't load me down with calories. Well, if you ask me to describe her, I say she's packed with fiber. Popcorn, she's my favorite movie star.
In order to properly appreciate the cultural impact of those tasty little puff nuggets, we have to go back. Way back. In fact, archaeological evidence shows that popcorn is ancient. For example, in Peru, kernels dating back over 6,000 years have been discovered in tombs. In caves in New Mexico, popped kernels and husks dating to around 3600 BCE have been found. And indigenous peoples across North and South America popped corn using heated sand, clay pots, or direct fire. Of course, they had a different word for it.
You call it corn. We called it maize. We knew all about the goodness of maize, corn, before America was America. You call this Mazola margarine because the corn oil in Mazola comes from maize. Mazola margarine has no cholesterol, naturally. And Mazola tastes fresh and good, naturally. Call this Mazola margarine, and remember, it gets goodness from maize.
Well, that 1977 commercial was pretty iconic in its time. It taught an entire generation that what we grew up calling corn was called maize just about everywhere else. Also, popcorn wasn't just food. It had ceremonial and decorative uses. Some groups wore popped kernels in headdresses or used them in rituals. And in recent centuries, folks who celebrate Christmas have been decorating trees with garlands made of popcorn. In the mid-16th century, Europeans arrived in the Americas and started appropriating pretty much everything, including popcorn. Accounts suggest that Native Americans ate popcorn as a snack and breakfast food, as well as making popcorn-based soups and beers. They introduced it to English colonists, possibly including early Thanksgiving settlers. By the 16th and 17th centuries, popcorn was already widespread throughout the Americas, as was smallpox, measles, influenza, typhus, diphtheria, malaria, and bubonic plague. You're welcome. Popcorn became more prominent in the 1800s as agriculture expanded and cities grew. A key invention was the steam-powered popcorn machine created in the 1880s. The machine allowed popcorn to be popped evenly and in large quantities. It also made it easy to sell popcorn in public spaces like fairs, parks, and city streets. popcorn quickly became a popular, affordable snack, especially in urban America.
Well, hello, boy. Now, what do you say?
Let's make with the popcorn right away.
Too much trouble and bother, yes, indeed.
No, man, heat's all you need.
You need more than heat, boy, according to Hoyle. You need popcorn, salt, butter, and oil, and a frying pan, or to be completely proper, you ought to have a popper.
I dig it you ain't hip, old man, to Easy Pop popped in its own pan.
You mean Easy Pop popped in its own pan?
Now you're swinging, Daddy. Crazy man. Why don't you make it with me to the grocery shop? We'll both take a pan of this Easy Pop. Now, give it the heat vest. That's the wildest. Easy Pop's too much, the neatest, the mildest. We'll all have a gallon in just about a minute. Popcorn, salt, and oil, and everything in it.
What do you know? No muss, no fuss. There's Easy Pop popcorn for all of us.
Easy Pop, man, that's real popcorn.
That brings us to our destination, the movie theater. But wait, did you know that, at first, the movie theater industry wanted nothing to do with popcorn? Theaters didn't want thousands of tiny little morsels cluttering up the floors. If those inside the theaters couldn't see the financial allure of popcorn, well, enterprising street vendors certainly did. They bought their own popping machines and sold popcorn outside the theaters to moviegoers before they entered. Now, some theaters still fought the snack by making people check their outside popcorn along with their coats and hats. So what was behind the appeal? Well, during the Great Depression, audiences flocked to the movies as an inexpensive way to forget their troubles. And at 5 to 10 cents a bag, popcorn was a luxury that most people were able to afford. Popcorn kernels themselves were a cheap investment for purveyors, and a $10 bag of unpopped corn could last for years. As more and more customers came to the theater with popcorn in hand, owners couldn't ignore the financial appeal of selling the snack. So they leased lobby privileges to vendors, allowing them to sell their popcorn in the lobby of the theater, or more likely on a piece of the street in front of the theater. And that was for a daily fee. The next natural move was for those in the movie theater business, well, it was to cut out the middleman, and eventually popcorn operations were an inside job. And during that era, theaters that embraced snacks typically survived. By the 1940s, there was no separating a movie theater from its buttery golden goodness, which eventually held a starring role in the movie concession ads of the 1960s, popular at drive-in theaters.
What is it?
Say, what is it? Hey, why, it's Buttercup. Popcorn, add sweet cream butter to hot popcorn. Mix it up, wrap it up, Buttercup is born.
It's delicious.
So nutritious.
It's a taste delight. It's so munchy,
Crisp and crunchy.
you'll enjoy each bite. Eat butter-drenched Buttercup, popcorn at its best.
Served in a king-size cup.
It beats all the rest.
Believe it or not, the innocent little kernels of joy have had their brush with controversy. Plain air-popped popcorn is widely recognized as a nutritious whole grain snack. It's high in fiber, relatively low in calories, and rich in polyphenols. But its theater-served incarnation, doused in hydrogenated oils and artificial butter flavorings, has garnered some negative press. In 1994, a report from the Center for Science in the Public Interest shocked many Americans by revealing that a medium bucket of movie theater popcorn popped in coconut oil contained more saturated fat than a day's worth of bacon and eggs. Theaters gradually shifted to less saturated oils, and public awareness of portion sizes grew. Now in the home, microwave popcorn had its own brush with controversy in the early 2000s.
Now to the man who's waking up a multimillionaire thanks to that lawsuit that started with a bag of microwave popcorn. Wayne Watson scored a $7 million verdict after he says he developed what's known as popcorn lung after eating 2 to 3 bags of microwave popcorn every day. ABC's Clayton Sandell has the story.
For Wayne Watson, popcorn went from delicious to almost deadly. When we first met him in 2007, Watson was popcorn obsessed.
I ate about 2 bags a day, every day.
Every day for 10 years, until his doctor diagnosed him with a rare disease, popcorn lung.
You cannot blow air out. The very small airways become blocked with scar tissue and inflammation.
Popcorn lung is usually found in plant workers exposed to high levels of diacetyl, a natural flavoring used to give popcorn that buttery taste. Watson sued the popcorn maker and the supermarket that sold it, claiming the companies never warned consumers that diacetyl, also recently linked to Alzheimer's disease, was dangerous.
They thought that no consumer would ever be exposed to enough of it to make a difference. Well, they rolled the dice and they lost.
A jury agreed on Wednesday, awarding Watson damages totaling $7.2 million. Watson says he plans on giving money to charity. One thing he says he won't be doing is buying microwave popcorn.
Probably look like a fairly healthy guy, but I only have, on a good day, about 53% lung capacity.
Many manufacturers no longer use diacetyl in microwave popcorn. Glister Mary Lee, the popcorn maker in this case, did not return calls for comment, but reportedly issued a statement saying it was disappointed with the jury's decision and is evaluating next steps, noting it has provided safe, quality microwave popcorn to consumers for 2 decades.
Now, this and similar incidents spurred interest in alternatives like air popping at home, olive oil popped corn, and minimally processed varieties, which in turn fed the gourmet and artisan popcorn movement. And of course, the stuff you get at the movie theater is the exact opposite of what anyone would call artisan, right? Well, maybe not. All popcorn is not created equal. Different movie theaters and chains source their popcorn from different suppliers. The larger theater chains are particularly picky about the kernels they want for their customers, and it can get pretty technical. Consistency is key. Terms like expansion rate, optimal mouthfeel, and finger control are used by insiders to describe their preferred popcorn. AMC Theaters source their popcorn from a Forest City, Illinois company called Weaver Popcorn. They are a nearly 100-year-old business that prides itself on delivering the best experience for popcorn lovers. Now, according to their corporate information, quote, every Weaver kernel is developed with intentional genetics, precise moisture, controlled density, and the structural integrity needed for expansion, flavor, adhesion, and minimal waste, end quote. Literally a mouthful. Also, according to the Weaver Company's website, there are different types of kernels that have different use cases. There's the high expansion butterfly that is optimal for theaters because it's light and airy and has those little ears that stick out. All the better to trap salt and butter. Now you also have the mushroom kernel. That's the round, puffy kind. And that's best for popcorn with coatings like caramel or chocolate. And that is just the tip of the cob. Weaver ships the kernels to another company which loads them into 25-pound bags, which are then shipped to theaters. And according to AMC, popcorn is typically freshly popped 15 minutes before crowds are expected to show up. And that's a tactical decision. Not only does it mean fresher popcorn for the customer, but it also means that irresistible popcorn smell is wafting through the lobby. That popcorn is the #1 most profitable item at their concession stands. So how is that possible? As of this recording in April of 2026, a large popcorn at an AMC theater costs $10.79. That's somewhere around 170 ounces of popcorn. Now, if you were to make it at home, that same amount would cost you less than $2, and that is an insane markup. But theater popcorn tastes better, you may say. Well, there are reasons for that, too. A lot of it comes down to 2 things that are essential to delicious popcorn: salt and butter, sort of. See, theater popcorn actually combines those two ingredients in one seasoning. It's called Flavacol. This magic substance has been used in theater popcorn since way back in 1931. So what makes it special? Well, Flavacol is a superfine salt that also contains butter flavoring and a hint of yellow food dye number 5 and number 6. It's also vegetarian. Flavacol is put into the popcorn kettle before the kernels are popped, ensuring the flavor is cooked into the snack. So if you want to replicate the theater popcorn experience at home, pick up some yummy Flavacol. Now, if you want the real deal, you can actually buy it online from Walmart, Target, or on Amazon. Now, I've tried it myself, and it really does make a difference. Now, if you want that ooey gooey liquid gold that is hilariously called butter, you can buy a full gallon of the stuff online for about $30, pump included. What's in it? Honestly, it's just soybean oil mixed with Flavacol. And you can make it yourself. Go figure. Popcorn has changed very little over the past century. Sure, you can add new flavorings and toppings, but those dried kernels of corn have pretty much stayed the same. And that's how we like it. But those perfidious purveyors of popped corn don't want us to just like it. They want us to need it to keep us coming back for more. And that used to be the job of the movies themselves. The flickering fantasies on the big screen would lure patrons in, and the popcorn would be waiting, hot and fresh. These days, however, it's not enough. Theaters are struggling to get butts in the seats. Now many are offering gourmet food and drinks, with some even delivering the treats right to your seat. So how can poor popcorn compete with that? Enter the popcorn bucket. What used to be served in a paper bag or cardboard tub has now a huge industry unto itself. When the film Dune Part 2 arrived in theaters, along with it arrived a very unique marketing item. And you may know where I'm going with this. It was a collectible popcorn bucket fashioned after one of the sandworms appearing in the movie. Needless to say, it's rather unusual shape. Attracted some, perhaps, unwanted attention.
Have you seen this Dune popcorn bucket that's going by?
We just talked about it.
What do you make of it?
I'm not going to stick my hand in there. Like, I'm good. I'll starve for this movie. I think it's super inventive, but no, I'm not going to stick my hand in there.
I'm not sure what
Unless I'm getting a milk dud out of it, forget it.
It's genius marketing because everyone is talking
We're
about it.
talking about it, and that's all that matters.
It's genius marketing.
Just stick your hand in there just because we're talking about it. If I see a bunch of people in the theater with one of those freaking buckets in their hand, I'll be like, okay, you're an idiot.
Hey, if you know, you know. If you don't know, look it up. I don't really want to describe it here. In any event, movie-themed popcorn buckets are now a huge item with collectors. There's a massive secondary market for unused tubs on auction sites like eBay. I myself am not immune to this phenomenon. I have several of these buckets, including a Fantastic Car from the Fantastic Four and a Tron Ares bucket that looks like an old arcade machine. I also bought several that I got while at Walt Disney World, where themed popcorn buckets are a huge deal. People wait for hours to get a bucket that looks like Stitch or Buzz Lightyear or Yoda. And some of the more highly sought-after buckets can fetch upwards of $1,000 or more depending on the availability. Now, buckets notwithstanding, is popcorn still as popular as it was decades ago? In fact, popcorn remains one of the best-selling snack foods in the United States and is gaining ground globally. Annual U.S. popcorn sales exceeded $1 billion across retail channels, and Americans consume an estimated 15 billion quarts of popcorn per year. That's roughly 45 quarts per person. So think about this. It can be cheap or artisan. It's simple enough for anyone to make at home, and deeply entangled with the rituals of movie watching. The humble popcorn has survived and thrived across 6,000 years of human history. A noble grain that, like most of us, under the right conditions, simply explodes. Now that's food for thought. Thanks for listening. If this is the first time you've heard this podcast, check out our past episodes available on almost all podcast providers and subscribe so you don't miss a single one. And if you like what you hear, write us a review. We'd love to know what you think. Drop us a line at thedeepdivepodcast@gmail.com. All clips used in this podcast are meant for educational purposes only and not to infringe on existing copyrights. Hollywood Hype is part of the Deep Dive Podcast family and a production of Automaton Studios.
Don't be alarmed, folks. That's only the sound of our giant-sized kernels of popcorn exploding into tasty life. Just look at that. Popped from the finest popcorn anywhere, then heaped into a giant-sized container, salted and seasoned just so. Nothing hits the spot like popcorn. And wouldn't some taste good right now? You'll find it at the Refreshment Center. Crisp, hot, delicious popcorn. Go ahead, get some.